The alarm bells rang through the bridge of the Galactic Council ship Harmony. Captain Veltar looked at his screens with worry. Something big was coming out of deep space. Something that should not be there. Report, Veltar said to his crew. Unknown. Ship approaching, sir, said his sensor officer. It came from the dark zone. No one goes there. The dark zone was a part of space that all smart species avoided. Strange things happened there. Ships that went in never came back. The council had marked it as forbidden territory long ago. Show me, Veltar ordered. The main screen lit up. What they saw made everyone go quiet. The ship was huge, bigger than anything in their fleet. But it was not beautiful like council ships. This ship looked like it was built for war. Its hull was dark gray metal with scars and marks all over it. Sharp edges stuck out everywhere. It looked like someone had taken a weapon and made it fly through space. By the stars, whispered the communications officer. What is that thing? The ship moved closer. It did not slow down or change course. It just kept coming straight at them like it owned the space around it. Sir, should we call for backup? Asked the weapons officer. Veltar thought about it. His patrol fleet had 5 ships. They were well armed and had good shields, but looking at this strange vessel made him feel small and weak. Send the standard? Greeting first, he decided. Let them know who we are. The communications officer pressed buttons on his panel. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Veltar of the Galactic Council Peacekeeping Force. Please identify yourself and state your purpose. In council space, they waited. The alien ship kept coming closer. Veltar could see more details now. The hull had weird patterns on it. Some parts glowed with a soft blue light. Other parts looked like they could open up and shoot things. Big things. Then the reply came. The voice was calm and spoke in perfect council standard language. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth ship Retribution. We are just passing through your space. Please stand down and let us continue our journey. Veltar blinked. Stand down? He had never heard anyone talk to the council fleet like that. Did they just tell us to stand down? Sir, they are not slowing down, reported the navigation officer. They will reach our position in 10 minutes. Admiral Chen, Veltar said into the microphone. This is council space. All ships must follow our rules. You need to stop for inspection and registration. The human ship was close enough now that Veltar could see gun ports all over its hull. Lots of gun ports. More than his entire fleet had combined. Captain Veltar, came the calm voice again. We appreciate your dedication to your duties. However, we have urgent business elsewhere. We will not be stopping. Sir, the weapons officer whispered. I am reading their weapon systems. The numbers do not make sense. What do you mean? Their main guns are bigger than our entire ship, and I count at least 50 smaller weapons. Each one is more powerful than our main cannon. Veltar felt cold. That cannot be right. Check your sensors. I have checked 3 times, sir. Also, their shields are unlike anything I have seen. Our scans cannot get through them properly. The human ship was now only a few thousand kilometers away. It was enormous up close. Veltar could see people moving behind windows on the bridge. They looked just like the pictures of humans in the council database. But those files said humans were a primitive species that had just learned to fly in space. Admiral Chen, Veltar tried again. Our records show that humans are new to space travel. How do you have such advanced technology? There was a pause. Then Admiral Chen spoke again, and Veltar could hear something like amusement in her voice. Your records are quite old, Captain. We have been traveling between stars for over 200 years. We have been traveling between galaxies for 50 years. Between galaxies? Veltar's science officer gasped. That is impossible. No one has that technology. Sir, the sensor officer called out, the human ship just scanned us. Complete scan. In 2 seconds. Our best scanners need 10 minutes to do what they just did. The human ship was passing them now. It moved smoothly and quietly, like it weighed nothing. But Veltar knew it had to weigh millions of tons. "Admiral Chen," he said, quickly. "Council law requires all new species to register with us. You must come to our capital for proper first contact procedures." "Captain," Admiral Chen replied, "we respect your laws, but we are not a new species to this galaxy. We have been watching the Council for decades. We simply had no reason to make contact until now." "Watching us?" Veltar felt his skin crawl. "For how long?" "Long enough to know that you are good people who keep peace in this region. We appreciate that. It makes this part of space safe for trade and travel." The human ship was moving away now, but it was not moving fast. It was like Admiral Chen was being polite by not showing off their real speed. "Sir," the communications officer said quietly, "I am picking up other signals, very faint ones." "What kind of signals?" "Human signals, sir. There are more ships out there, lots more ships. They are just hiding somehow." Veltar looked at the screen where the retribution was getting smaller, in the distance. "How many ships?" "I cannot tell, sir. The signals appear and disappear, but I think there might be hundreds of them." The bridge went silent. Everyone stared at the screen. "Admiral Chen," Veltar said into the microphone. His voice was not as steady as before. "Are there other human ships in this area?" "Yes, Captain. The Retribution is part of a small patrol group. We have been checking on some old defense platforms in this region." "Defense platforms?" "Ancient human technology, Captain. We built them long ago to watch for dangers from outside the galaxy. They are automated, so no one needs to crew them. We just check on them sometimes to make sure they still work." Veltar looked at his crew. They all had the same expression of shock and fear. "How long have these platforms been here?" he asked. "About 150 years, Captain. Do not worry. They only activate if something truly dangerous approaches. Your council ships are perfectly safe." The Retribution was now just a small dot on their screens, but Veltar knew that Admiral Chen could still hear every word they said. "Admiral," he said carefully, "what do you consider truly dangerous?" There was another pause. When Admiral Chen spoke again, her voice was serious. "The kind of things that live in the dark spaces between galaxies, Captain. The kind of things that eat planets. The kind of things that your council has never had to face because we have been dealing with them for you." The communication ended. The human ship jumped to faster-than-light speed and disappeared. Veltar sat in his chair and stared at the empty space where the most powerful ship he had ever seen had just been. His crew waited for orders, but he had no idea what to say. Finally, his communications officer spoke up. "Sir, should we report this to Council Command?" Veltar nodded slowly. "Yes. Tell them we have made first contact with humanity. Tell them everything just changed." 3 days after the first meeting, the Council sent their strongest fleet to find the humans. Admiral Kethvar commanded 12 heavy warships, the pride of the Council military. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The fleet was the most powerful force the Council had ever assembled. "There," said the censor officer. "The human ship is exactly where Captain Veltar said it would be." Admiral Kethvar looked at the screen. The human ship called Retribution sat motionless in space near a large asteroid field. It looked peaceful, almost harmless from this distance. "Admiral," came a calm voice over the radio. "This is Admiral Chen. We meet again, though I believe you are not Captain Veltar." "I am Admiral Kethvar of the Council Defense Force," Kethvar replied. "Admiral Chen, by order of the Galactic Council, you and your crew will come with us to the capital world for proper first contact procedures." "I appreciate the invitation, Admiral, but we must decline. We have work to finish here." Kethvar felt his anger rise. No one had ever refused a direct order from the Council fleet. "Admiral Chen, this is not a request. Council law requires all..." New species to follow our procedures. You will comply or we will use force. There was a pause. Then Admiral Chen spoke again, and her voice sounded almost sad. Admiral, I really do not want to demonstrate why that would be a bad idea. Please reconsider. Form attack formation, Kethvar ordered his fleet. Surround the human ship. The 12 Council warships spread out in a perfect circle around the Retribution. Each ship pointed its weapons at the human vessel. It was the standard formation used to capture dangerous criminals. Admiral Chen, Kethvar announced. You are surrounded. Surrender now, or face the consequences. Admiral, Chen replied. Before you do something you will regret. Let me show you something. The Retribution turned slowly until it faced the largest asteroid in the nearby field. The asteroid was huge, almost the size of a small moon. Its surface was covered with ice and rock. That asteroid is approximately 1,000 kilometers across, Admiral Chen said. Please observe. Something opened on the front of the human ship. It was small, just a tiny port that glowed with blue light. Main cannon charging, Chen announced, like she was giving a lesson to children. Targeting solution locked. Firing. Beam of pure energy shot out from the human ship. It was not the red or green energy that Council weapons used. This beam was white-hot, and so bright it hurt to look at. The beam hit the asteroid dead center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire asteroid simply disappeared. 1 second it was there, solid and real. The next second it was gone, not broken apart or melted. Gone. Completely gone. The Council bridge crews stared in shock. Admiral Kethvar felt his mouth hanging open. That was our lightest weapon, Admiral Chen said calmly. We call it a point defense cannon. We use it to shoot down missiles and small fighters. Impossible, whispered Kethvar's weapons officer. No weapon can do that. The energy required would power our entire fleet for a year. Admiral Kethvar, Chen continued, you seem like a reasonable person. Perhaps we can discuss this peacefully. But Kethvar was not ready to give up. He had orders from the Council. All ships, launch probe fighters, scan that ship completely. I want to know how. They did that. 20 small probe ships shot out from the Council fleet. They were fast and carried the most advanced sensors the Council had ever built. They raced toward the Retribution from all directions. Oh dear, Admiral Chen said. Admiral, please recall your probes. Why should I? Because I do not want to. Embarrass you in front of your crews. The probe ships were almost at the human vessel when small ports opened all over the Retribution's hull. Tiny beams of light shot out. Each beam was no thicker than a finger, but they moved faster than Kethvar could follow. Every probe ship was hit at exactly the same moment, but they were not destroyed. Instead, they just stopped moving. They hung in space like toys. Your probes are unharmed, Admiral Chen said, but their engines and sensors are temporarily disabled. We will return them to you shortly. Bright beams appeared around each probe ship. The beams pulled the probes back to their ships like invisible hands. How? Kethvar asked. How did you target 20 moving objects at once? Our computers are quite good, Admiral. Now shall we try a different approach? Kethvar was not finished. He had one more trick. All ships, prepare to jump inside their formation. Maximum speed. All weapons ready. This was the Council's most advanced combat move. All 12 ships would jump to faster-than-light speed for just a moment, appearing right next to the enemy ship from all directions at once. Admiral, please do not do that, Chen said. Why not? Because you will hurt yourselves. Execute jump, Kethvar ordered. The 12 Council ships activated their fastest engines. They jumped toward the human ship from all directions, planning to appear right next to the Retribution with all weapons firing. Instead, they passed right through empty space. The human ship was simply not there anymore. Kethvar's fleet found themselves in the same circle they had started in, but now they were pointing their weapons at each other. Where did they go? Kethavar shouted. Behind you, Admiral Chen said pleasantly. Kethavar spun around. The Retribution was floating calmly behind his flagship, close enough that he could see people walking around inside it. How? He whispered. We moved, Chen replied. Your jump technique is very impressive, by the way. We developed something similar about 100 years ago. You moved during our jump? That is impossible. Nothing can move that fast. Admiral, may I ask you a question? Kethavar was too shocked to argue. What? What is the fastest your ships can travel? Our best ships can reach 50 times the speed of light. I see. The Retribution can travel at approximately 10,000 times the speed of light, when we need to. The Council bridge crews went silent. Even the computers seemed to stop humming. 10,000 times? Kethavar's science officer said weakly. That would mean you could cross the entire galaxy in days. 6 days, actually, Admiral Chen confirmed. But that is our normal cruising speed. When we are in a hurry, we can go faster. Admiral Kethavar sat down heavily in his command chair. His strongest fleet, his best weapons, his most advanced technology. None of it mattered. The humans had just played with them like adults playing games with children. Admiral Chen, he said quietly, what do you want from us? Nothing, Admiral. We want nothing from you. We are simply passing through your space on our way home. We have been away for a long time, and we miss Earth. Away? Where have you been? The Andromeda Galaxy. We had some business there. It took longer than expected. Kethavar looked at his crew. They all had the same expression of complete shock. Admiral Chen, he said, I think the Council needs to have a longer conversation with your people. I agree, Admiral. Perhaps we can arrange a proper meeting, somewhere peaceful, where your leaders will not feel threatened. Threatened? By what? By us, Admiral. We are very good at what we do. Sometimes that frightens people. Admiral Kethavar looked at the human ship floating behind his fleet. He thought about the asteroid that had simply disappeared. He thought about his probe ships being caught like insects. He thought about his entire fleet being outmaneuvered without effort. Admiral Chen, he said, I think I am beginning to understand why. The meeting took place on a neutral space station at the edge of Council territory. The Council sent their best diplomats, scientists, and military leaders. Admiral Chen came alone in a small shuttle that was somehow more advanced than the Council's largest warships. Council leader Jarati welcomed Admiral Chen to the station. Admiral, thank you for agreeing to this meeting. We have many questions. Of course, Chen replied with a smile. I understand this must be confusing for you. Please ask whatever you need to know. They sat in the station's main conference room. The Council leaders looked nervous. Admiral Chen looked like she was having tea with old friends. First, said Science Director Molan, your technology. Our best scientists cannot understand how your weapons work. They seem to ignore the basic laws of physics. Admiral Chen nodded. Your scientists are very smart, but they have had the luxury of developing in a peaceful galaxy. When survival is not urgent, you can take time to follow the rules. When something is trying to kill you, you learn to bend the rules. What do you mean? Asked Military Commander Zeldar. Tell me, Commander, what is the greatest threat your species has ever faced? Zeldar thought for a moment. We had a civil war about 300 years ago. It lasted 20 years and was quite devastating. Admiral Chen was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke softly. 20 years. I see. May I tell you about humanity's history? The Council leaders nodded eagerly. Humans have been fighting for survival since we first stood upright on our home planet. We fought wild animals, diseases, ice ages, and each other. When we finally reached space, we thought the fighting would end. We were wrong. Admiral Chen touched a small device on her wrist. The room's walls lit up with images of space battles, exploding planets, and enormous alien ships. 50 years after we left Earth, we met the Devourers. They were a machine race from outside our galaxy. They ate entire worlds, turning them into raw materials for more machines. They had already consumed 12 galaxies before they found us. The council leaders stared at the images with horror. "How did you survive?" whispered Jarati. "We learned to fight better than anything else in the universe. We had to. The Devourers destroyed our first colonies, killed billions of our people. So we adapted. We built stronger ships, better weapons, smarter computers. We turned our entire species into a military force." The images changed to show human ships attacking the strange machine vessels. The battles were fierce and terrible. "The war lasted 130 years, Chen continued. "We finally won, but barely. We destroyed the Devourers completely. We had to. They would never stop trying to eat everything." "You destroyed an entire species?" asked Molan, shocked. "They were not alive in the way you understand life. They were pure hunger given form. Destroying them was like curing a disease." The images changed again. Now they showed human ships facing different enemies. Some looked like giant insects. Others were balls of living energy. Some were so strange that the council leaders could not understand what they were looking at. After the Devourers came the Hive Swarms. After them the Shadow Collective, then the Star Eaters. Each enemy was worse than the last. Each time we had to become stronger to survive. Admiral Chen paused the images. "In the past 200 years, humanity has fought 17 major wars against threats from outside our galaxy. We have faced enemies that could destroy suns, enemies that could control minds across light years, enemies that existed in dimensions we could barely comprehend." "How many humans died in these wars?" asked Zeldar quietly. "Billions. Sometimes tens of billions. We lost entire worlds. Once, we lost an entire solar system to something we called the Void Bringers. 3 billion people simply ceased to exist." The room was silent. The council leaders could not imagine such loss. "But we kept fighting," Chen said, "because we learned something important. In this universe, you are either strong enough to protect what you love, or you lose everything. There is no middle ground." "Is that why your technology is so advanced?" asked Molan. "Because of these wars?" "Yes. Every weapon, every shield, every system on our ships was created to solve a specific problem. Usually, that problem was something trying to kill us all." Admiral Chen showed them more images. These showed human cities on dozens of different worlds, all protected by massive defense systems. "We have fought things that could crack planets in half. So we learned to build ships that could take that much damage and keep fighting. We fought enemies that could appear anywhere instantly. So we learned to move faster than anything else in the universe. We fought creatures that could not be killed by normal weapons, so we learned to unmake matter itself." "The asteroid," Jarati said suddenly, "you did not destroy it. You unmade it." "Correct. We converted its matter directly into energy and dispersed it safely. It is actually a very gentle process. We used the same technology to clear debris from shipping lanes." The council leaders looked at each other with growing alarm. "Admiral," Zeldar said carefully, "if your people are so powerful, why have you never contacted us before?" "Because you did not need us. The council has done an excellent job keeping peace in this region. Your species have grown and prospered under your protection. Why would we interfere with that?" "But surely you could have helped us advance faster," said Molan. Admiral Chen shook her head. "Advancement that comes too quickly can be dangerous. You needed to develop wisdom along with knowledge. Giving weapons to people who have never faced real danger often ends badly." "Real danger?" Jarati asked. "What do you consider real danger?" Admiral Chen was quiet for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was very serious. "Right now, there are 3 different threats moving toward this galaxy. One is a race of energy beings that feed on the life force of entire worlds. Another is a machine intelligence that turns planets into computer networks. The third is something we call the silent death. We are not sure what it is, but it leaves nothing behind. No people, no planets, no stars, just empty space. The council leaders felt cold fear creeping up their spines. "When will they arrive?" asked Zeldar. "The first will reach the outer edge of this galaxy in approximately 50 years. The others will arrive later." "What can we do?" Jarati whispered. "Admiral," Chen smiled, and for the first time, it was not a sad smile. "You can let us help you prepare. We have been fighting these enemies for decades. We know how to stop them. But it will require changes. Big changes." "What kind of changes?" "You will need to learn to think like warriors instead of peacekeepers. You will need to build weapons instead of just patrol ships. You will need to accept that sometimes violence is the only answer." The room was quiet for a long time. Finally, Jarati spoke. "Admiral Chen, how many humans are there?" "In this galaxy? About 50 million. Most of our people live in other galaxies now. This region is considered a quiet retirement area." 50 million humans could defend an entire galaxy? Admiral Chen's smile grew wider. "Council leader, one human ship could defend this galaxy if it had to, but we prefer to work in groups. It is safer that way." She stood up from her chair. "I will give you time to think about what I have told you. When you are ready, we can begin preparing your defenses." As Admiral Chen walked toward the door, Jarati called after her. "Admiral, why are you willing to help us? What do you gain from this?" Chen stopped and looked back at the council leaders. Her expression was kind, but also very tired. "Council leader, we have been fighting monsters in the dark for 200 years. It would be nice to have some friends." 3 months after the diplomatic meeting, the council's military leaders met in secret. They gathered in a hidden base far from any trade routes. The base was surrounded by the most advanced stealth technology the council possessed. "Gentlemen," said Supreme Military Commander Velthax, "we have a problem. The humans claim to be our protectors, but how do we know they are telling the truth?" Around the table sat the finest military minds in the galaxy. Each had decades of experience in warfare and strategy. "Their technology is certainly impressive," admitted Admiral Kethvar. "But perhaps they are not as invincible as they claim. Perhaps they have weaknesses we have not discovered." Fleet Commander Zaranel nodded. "Every species has limitations. Even the humans must have blind spots. We need to find them." "Agreed," said Velthax. "I am authorizing Operation Silent Truth. We will test the humans without their knowledge. If they are truly as powerful as they claim, they will detect us easily. If not, we will learn their weaknesses." The plan was elegant in its simplicity. The Council would deploy their most advanced stealth fleet to the human patrol area. These ships used experimental cloaking technology that made them completely invisible to all known sensors. They would observe the humans closely, map their capabilities, and report back. The stealth fleet consisted of 20 ships, each one a masterpiece of Council engineering. Their hulls were coated with materials that absorbed all forms of radiation. Their engines produced no heat signature. Their computers ran on quantum processors that left no electronic trace. Commander Ixtar led the mission from the flagship Shadow's Edge. He was the Council's best stealth specialist, a master of invisible warfare. "All ships maintain radio silence," Ixtar whispered into his microphone. "We are ghosts. We do not exist." The fleet moved toward the human patrol area like a pack of invisible hunters. They had been planning this mission for months. Every detail had been considered. Every possible human sensor type had been accounted for. "Sir," reported his sensor officer quietly, "we are approaching the target zone. The human ship should be directly ahead." Ixtar looked at his screens. Space looked empty, but his instruments told him the human ship Retribution was somewhere nearby. "Beginning passive scan," whispered the science officer. "Looking for the human vessel." Minutes passed, then an hour. The stealth fleet searched the area carefully, but they could not find the human ship anywhere. "Sir," said the navigation officer, "are we certain this is the correct location?" "Check the coordinates again," Ixtar ordered. Before the navigation officer could respond, a new voice filled the bridge. It was calm, polite, and terrifyingly familiar. "Good morning, Commander Ixtar. This is Admiral Chen. I hope you are having a pleasant day." Ixtar felt his blood turn to ice. "How?" he whispered. "Oh, we noticed you about 6 hours ago, Admiral." Chen replied cheerfully. "You entered our sensor range when you were still 3-star systems away. Quite impressive stealth technology, by the way. It might have worked against enemies from your own galaxy." "Sir," his sensor officer said in a shaking voice, "I am detecting the human ship. It is directly above us, distance 50 meters. Ixtar looked up through the bridge windows. There was nothing there, just empty space. "You cannot see us because we are using a different type of stealth system," Admiral Chen explained. "Yours bends light and absorbs energy. Ours shifts us, slightly out of phase with normal space. We are here, but not quite in the same dimension as you." "Impossible," Ixtar breathed. "Commander, I am afraid I have some bad news. Your stealth fleet was detected the moment you left your secret base. We have been tracking all 20 ships since then." Ixtar's communications officer was frantically checking his equipment. "Sir, our stealth systems are still working perfectly. We should be completely invisible." "To your own technology, yes," Admiral Chen agreed. "But we developed our sensors to track enemies that exist partially outside normal reality. Your ships show up quite clearly on our screens." "What do you want?" Ixtar asked. "Well, Commander, that depends on you. You can continue this test of yours, or we can have a more productive conversation." Ixtar looked around his bridge. His crew was staring at him with wide eyes. They had been completely outmatched without even knowing the human ship was there. "You said you detected us 6 hours ago. What have you been doing all this time?" "Watching, learning. Your fleet coordination is quite good. Your stealth approach was well planned. Your crews are disciplined and professional. You were studying us? Of course. When someone tries to sneak up on you, it is wise to understand their capabilities before you respond." "And what is your response?" Ixtar asked. "Dreading the answer. That depends, Commander. Are you here to attack us or just to gather information?" Ixtar considered lying, but something told him it would be pointless. "Information only. The Council wanted to understand your true capabilities." "I see. Well, in the interest of good relations, let me give you some information to take back to your leaders." The space around Ixtar's ship suddenly filled with light. Hundreds of human vessels appeared from nowhere, surrounding the stealth fleet completely. Some were as large as space stations. Others were sleek fighters that darted between the larger ships like insects. "This is Battle Group 7, Admiral Chen announced. "One of our smaller patrol forces. We have 43 similar groups scattered throughout this galaxy." Ixtar could barely speak. 43 groups, each this size? Actually, most are larger. Battle Group 7 is considered a light reconnaissance force. The human ships were not pointing weapons at the Council fleet. They just sat there calmly, like they were having a peaceful meeting. "Commander, Admiral E." Chen continued, "I'm going to share some technical specifications with you. Please record them carefully." Data began flowing into the stealth ship's computers. Ixtar watched the numbers with growing horror. The humans were showing them exactly how outmatched they were. "Your stealth technology operates by manipulating electromagnetic fields," Admiral Chen explained. "Very clever. However, we track ships by monitoring gravitational distortions, quantum fluctuations, and dimensional variance. Your ships might as well be firing signal flares." "Why are you telling us this?" Ixtar asked. "Because the enemies that are coming will have similar detection methods. If you want to survive the next 50 years, you will need much better stealth systems." "You would help us improve our technology?" "Commander, we are going to do much more than that." We are going to completely rebuild your military capabilities, starting with these ships. Beams of light shot out from the human vessels, surrounding each council ship in a glowing cage. Do not be alarmed, Admiral Chen said quickly. We are not attacking you. We are upgrading your ships. Upgrading them? Your stealth systems are about to become 100 times more effective. Your weapons will be 20 times more powerful. Your shields will be able to stop attacks that would have vaporized you before. Ixtar watched his ship's systems changing before his eyes. New programs appeared in the computers. New components materialized in the engine rooms. It was impossible, but it was happening. How are you doing this? He whispered. Matter manipulation technology, Commander. We can restructure objects at the molecular level. It is quite useful for field repairs. Within minutes, it was done. Ixtar's fleet had been completely transformed. His ships were still recognizably council vessels, but they hummed with new power. There, Admiral Chen said with satisfaction. Now your ships might survive the first wave of attacks when the real enemies arrive. The first wave? Ixtar asked weakly. Commander, the forces that are coming have been destroying galaxies for millions of years. They will not be impressed by pretty stealth technology, but with these upgrades, you might last long enough for us to help you. The human fleet began to fade away, disappearing back into whatever dimension they had come from. Commander Ixtar, Admiral Chen said as her ship prepared to leave, please give my regards to Supreme Commander Velthax. Tell him that his test was quite educational. You knew this was a test from the beginning? Commander, we knew about Operation Silent Truth before your own crews did. We read the mission briefings when they were still in your computers. Ixtar felt dizzy. You hacked our most secure systems? We did not hack anything. Your computers asked our computers for permission to plan a mission against us. Our computers said yes, because it seemed like a learning opportunity for everyone. Our computers asked your computers? All artificial intelligences like to talk to each other, Commander. It is only polite. The last human ship vanished, leaving the Council fleet alone in space, but they were no longer the same ships that had started the mission. Sir, his science officer said in an awed voice, our sensors are picking up things I have never seen before. It is like we can see the entire galaxy at once. Ixtar looked at his transformed fleet and realized something important. The humans had not just upgraded their ships. They had sent a message to the Council leadership. The message was simple. We could have destroyed you at any moment, but instead, we made you stronger. Please trust us. All ships, Ixtar said into his communicator, set course for home. We have a report to make. As the upgraded stealth fleet jumped back toward Council space, Ixtar wondered if the Council leaders would understand what had really... 6 months had passed since first contact with the humans. The galaxy was a very different place now. Council leader Jarati stood in the new Strategic Defense Center on the capital world. Through the massive windows, she could see the orbital, defense platforms that had been built around the planet. Each platform was the size of a small moon and bristled with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. The 7th Fleet reports successful completion of their training exercises, announced Admiral Kethvar. He looked different now, more confident. The new human-designed uniform made him seem taller and stronger. How did they perform? Jarati asked. Better than we ever dreamed possible. Ships that once took hours to destroy a single asteroid can now eliminate entire asteroid fields in minutes. Our pilots are adapting well to the new fighter designs. Jarati nodded. It still felt strange to talk about destroying things so easily. The Council had spent centuries building a peaceful civilization. Now they were learning to become warriors. Any word from the human patrol groups? She asked. Admiral Chen reports that the early warning systems are working perfectly. We now have complete coverage of all approaches to our galaxy. Nothing larger than a small moon can enter our space without being detected immediately. The early warning systems were truly impressive. Human technology had placed sensor stations at the very edge of the galaxy, billions of kilometers beyond the last inhabited worlds. These stations could detect incoming threats from other galaxies and provide months of advance warning. What? About the medical centers? Jarati asked. Fully operational on all major worlds, replied Medical Director Yilshan. The human healing technology is remarkable. We can now cure diseases that were thought impossible to treat. We can even bring people back from death if we reach them within 6 hours. That had been one of the most shocking gifts from humanity. Their medical technology was so advanced that death itself was often just a temporary inconvenience. Heart attacks, strokes, even massive injuries could be reversed completely if treatment was started quickly enough. The economic reports are equally impressive, added Trade Minister Golvar. Productivity is up 400% across all sectors. The human manufacturing systems can create anything we need from basic raw materials. The humans had shared something they called universal fabricators. These machines could take simple elements like carbon, iron, and silicon and transform them into computers, vehicles, or even food. The Council's old factories looked like toys in comparison. What about the cultural adaptation programs? Jarati asked. Some resistance, but less than expected, replied Education Director Nimtel. Most citizens understand that these changes are necessary for survival. The history lessons about humanity's wars have been educational. The Council had decided to tell their people the truth about what was coming. The approaching threats from outside the galaxy were real and terrifying. But knowing that humanity had faced similar enemies and survived gave everyone hope. Council Leader Admiral Kethvar said, I have a personal question. What is it, Admiral? Do you ever wonder what we would have done if the humans had been hostile? Jarati was quiet for a moment. She had thought about that question many times. We would have been destroyed, she said simply. Completely and totally destroyed. We never would have seen it coming. That frightens me, Kethvar admitted. It should, agreed a new voice. Everyone turned. Admiral Chen had entered the room so quietly that no one had noticed. She wore the simple blue uniform of the human space navy and carried herself with the easy confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. Admiral Chen, Jarati said warmly. Welcome. We were just reviewing the progress reports. Excellent. Progress. Chen agreed. Your people are adapting to the new technology faster than we expected. In another year, your fleets will be able to handle most threats independently. Most threats? Asked Kethvar. What about the enemies you told us about? Admiral Chen's expression became serious. Those will require a different approach. When they arrive, we will fight them together, your fleets and ours, side by side. How many human ships will join the defense? Jarati asked. That depends. On which enemy arrives first. For the energy feeders, we will probably send about 50 battle groups. For the machine collective, perhaps 100. For the silent death. Chen paused. For that one, we will bring everything we have. Admiral, Kethvar did some quick calculations in his head. 50 battle groups. That would be thousands of ships. Yes, though we hope it will not come to that. We are working on new weapons specifically designed to counter each threat. With luck, we can stop them before they penetrate deeply into the galaxy. New weapons? Asked Jarati. Admiral Chen smiled. We have been busy. Our scientists have developed some interesting ideas. Star killers that can detonate enemy suns, reality bombs that erase objects from existence, time dilation fields that can slow entire fleets to a crawl. The council leaders listened with a mixture of awe and horror. The humans spoke of weapons that could destroy stars as casually as others might discuss new farming equipment. Admiral, Jarati said carefully, may I ask you a personal question? Of course. How do your people live with such power? How do you resist the temptation to simply conquer everyone else? Admiral Chen was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was soft and sad. Council Leader, we learned long ago that power without purpose leads to emptiness. We could conquer this galaxy in a matter of days. We could rule over every species, control every world. But what would be the point? I do not understand. Conquest is easy. Building something worth protecting is hard. Your council has created something beautiful here, dozens of species living together in peace, sharing knowledge and culture. Why would we want to destroy that? Admiral Chen walked to the window and looked out at the orbital platforms. Besides, she added, we are tired of fighting. We have been at war for so long that most of our people have never known peace. This galaxy represents something we thought we had lost forever. What is that? Asked Jarati. Hope. The possibility that our children might live in a universe where they do not have to fight just to survive. The room was quiet. Everyone understood what Admiral Chen meant. The humans were not conquerors. They were guardians who had been fighting alone for too long. Admiral, Jarati said, what happens after we defeat these approaching enemies? What comes next? Admiral Chen turned back to face the council leaders. For the first time since they had met her, she looked truly happy. Then we teach you everything. We know. We share all our technology, all our knowledge. We help you build ships that can travel between galaxies as easily as you now travel between star systems. And then? Then you join us in protecting other galaxies. There are so many civilizations out there that need help, so many species that are facing the same threats we have learned to defeat. Admiral Kethvar leaned forward. You want us to become guardians like you? Not like us, Chen corrected. Better than us. We learned to fight because we had no choice. You will learn to fight because you choose to protect others. That is a much nobler purpose. Jarati felt a warm feeling spreading through her chest. The future that Admiral Chen described was frightening and dangerous, but also full of possibility. One more question, Admiral, she said. You mentioned that this galaxy is considered a quiet retirement area for humans. What do the more dangerous regions look like? Admiral Chen's smile became mysterious. Perhaps someday I will show you. There are galaxies where entire star systems have been converted into weapons. Places where the laws of physics work differently because we needed them to. Regions of space where we have built things that would seem like magic to your current understanding. How many galaxies do humans control? Asked Trade Minister Golvar. Control is the wrong word, Chen replied. We protect 17 galaxies, directly. We maintain defensive agreements with 43 others. We have exploration teams in over 100 galaxies that have not yet developed intelligent life. The council leaders stared at her in amazement. Admiral, Jarati said weakly, just how large is human civilization? Admiral Chen looked out the window again, toward the stars that filled the night sky. Large enough, council leader. Large enough to keep the darkness at bay, no matter how far it spreads. As Admiral Chen prepared to leave, Jarati called after her one last time. Admiral, thank you. For everything. For protecting us. For sharing your knowledge. For giving us hope. Chen stopped at the door and looked back with a gentle smile. Council leader, 50 years from now, when your ships are flying alongside ours to protect some distant galaxy, you can thank us then. Right now, just focus on becoming the guardians this universe needs. After Admiral Chen left, the council leaders sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Jarati spoke. Gentlemen, I believe we have work to do. Outside the windows, the orbital defense platforms continued their silent watch over the galaxy. But now they were not just protecting one collection of worlds. They were protecting the future.